All right, let's get it. Well, welcome to
Thank you.
Tallahassee. Sorry about the wait, but
Nice to be here.
we're here, man. I am very inspired by you. I listened to a lot of great interviews. One of my favorite is you just had one with Danica Patrick. Danica Patrick
Yes.
this past year.
Yes.
And if no one in here has listened to it, or if you haven't listened to it yet, there's a great amount of insight. I mean, you guys go from like talking about food to then life decisions and approaches in that. And I just kind of wanted to like expand a little bit about that. But the most interesting thing I think was you talked about the importance of hospitality in food. So as a chef, you kind of like think about the food and that's it.
Yeah, no.
Your food, but we're in the South, you come to Florida, especially here in Tallahassee, is basically like Southern Georgia, Southern Alabama, barely Florida. And I think that's one of the most things that we're proud of is the hospitality here. So if you want to talk a little bit about how Tallahassee or the South has that level of hospitality.
Well, I haven't been in the South as much as you have, but hospitality is something that shouldn't come from someplace. It should be everywhere. It certainly is here, and I've experienced it in Tampa, where I am right now. I just think it's a sense of there is way more than just food to hospitality. As a matter of fact, I think food is almost a minority to hospitality. I really do. I think it's sort of 60-40 hospitality food, simply because it's about time and place and how you're treated. And whatever you get, if you're treated really well, whatever you eat, it's going to be better. It could be the same piece of fish, right?
Right.
So if you're treated better and you feel better and you like everyone's nice to you and you don't have to be doted on, just to be served correctly. And you sense that everyone else is getting the same experience around you. And you're like, this is good. This is delicious fish. Look at that. I never expected this. And you raise the bar yourself. And that's what people don't realize. Hospitality from the front side is how you raise the bar of the entire restaurant. And the profile of the chef will grow also. I mean, I've been to many restaurants where the profile of the chef is all it is. It's all about the food. And the food's great, but you're like, okay, I'm not having much fun here.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of the direction that we need to go now. Is like you need to feel comfortable eating, or when restaurants start, the food may not always be great because I mean, you as a successful businessman know that the second the restaurant starts, it's hard. I mean, you have staff there that that hasn't trained essentially. Sometimes food goes out, but if you can manage the front and get that hospitality side of it, I mean, that is.
It's the toughest thing there is, and Eric and I have. Opened so many restaurants, and we make the same mistakes, even though we know it's like how can we do this? We've ad nauseum made this mistake, and we keep making it, or a different mistake, because it's about stuff that breaks. And hospitality has all these breaking points. When the person's not in a good mood, when your staff didn't show up, and when the first greeting, the waiter, the waitress, the person on the phone, when you're sleeping, someone makes a reservation, the phone person was gnarly, and they come mad, and you're like, why are you mad? Stuff that, all these break points.
It's a lot of
little, before you get to me, there's 6 interactions. You call, or now you make a resi, you call resi, or, you do the internet. Then you have someone at the door says, hi, how are you? Then you have the maitre d' or the person that on the keyboard. Then you have the bartender. Then you have the person bringing you to the table. Then you have the waiter or waitress. And then you have me. I'm like the last. So if you fuck up any one of those,
you're out. I mean,
it doesn't matter how good the food is.
It does not matter.
Doesn't matter.
So you have all this interaction and break points before you get to. It's so hard to run a restaurant. People don't get that, right? In addition to that, I don't care who the chef is. If I'm in the restaurant, one of my employees messed up along that chain, I gotta make up. And I come from behind. I'm like Tom Brady.
It's consistent.
Yeah. So, but you don't want to be like that. You always want to be playing with a 14-point lead, and you get that lead in the first 6 interactions, right? And so you can fall down on the food a little bit, but as long as everything else is like really good, it's a score.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
Might not be an A+, but it's an A-, but it's still an A.
You have control. Now that's what I'm seeing is, so currently I'm a private chef, personal chef around town. I like to use food to get into communities and improve however I can. To me, it's so much more about, it's not about food, but I'm seeing that you can connect with people much more. But what I'm seeing, the difference between as a line cook and as a personal chef, that you're able to control so many of these aspects when you're just one person. When you're in a restaurant, you will have control over half the stuff that's happening. You can only do.
You can hire the best people in the world and the greatest resumes, and they can mess up stuff that because they don't believe in your culture, how you're doing things, and it's just a mess. So
Yeah.
hospitality, when it's great, you don't even see it. It's just like coming to your mom's,
Yeah.
coming home to mom.
You feel good.
Yeah.
But those are the places that you come back to consistently.
But I will tell you, hospitality is a real tough thing to get. So it's a lot of work behind that seemingly perfect, flawless feel, you know? And you got to hire good people. You got to hire people who have urgency, who have respect for themselves. They give the best service. If you don't have those, you can't train someone respect
Right.
or urgency. It's either you have it or you don't. So we hire for that. And we hire a lot of people who have never done anything in the food business. Like, you're fine. Get a great attitude. Come on.
Is there anything you see from these interviews where you know, like, I think that person has that go get it attitude, or that person,
Absolutely. You just jump right out. You know,
like, you get it. Like, you're like,
it's how they sit down, how they pull a chair, how they address you, how they sit, you know, and they slouch. When they get up, do they push the chair in? You know,
All small
all
things.
that stuff. It's all detail. It's all how you raised, you know. And so we look at all that detail. And the resume is the last thing we look at. Frankly, we'd like people from diverse restaurants, but we don't want too much experience, because that means you picked up, you know, 10% of everything wrong, and then you have a bag of 10% times 7. You have 70% of garbage I got to unload,
Mhm.
because it's not going to be that way at my places, you know.
didn't even think about it.
Yeah. So we tend to like people who have like good experience, eager, but they haven't sort of gotten to the next level yet, and we can help that. You know, we can get them and like trim off the fat.
Mhm.
Like, stop doing that. This is what you got to do.
So I have a huge question. So we are in two different eras of cooking. I grew up where I am a Google search away from having whatever
So
recipe,
lucky.
whatever recipe. I would love to know what it's like. Is you growing up? You know, I feel like
Books.
books you have to read, and not only that, you
Billion
have to
books.
find specific books. And I feel you get a lot more why in these books versus a quick recipe where you find a blog post that omits a couple things. So what?
Yeah,
what
but
is the
here's the
biggest
thing.
difference?
What's great is I wish I had both. I had books, and research was tedious, but there's also this beautiful tactile thing to a book. A book had presence, it had character, it had a smell, it had feel, it had heft, it had weight, it had an opinion, it had 400 pages of completion. With a video, you get 2 minutes or 1 minute or like 150 characters. There's no completion. All there is it's a highlight reel, right? But if you cook a steak, you can learn how to cook a steak online, and you probably have a good chance of getting it 70% right the first time, which doesn't happen in normal life, right? Unless you have someone teaching you, okay, do this, do that, do this.
It's a lot of well done.
So the same with pasta and all these, you know, you can search the web and make anything. And like, so that's why kids, especially now, are so young, they had to fake stuff so well because of the internet. So I think it's great because it brings you valuable information. The more information you have about something, even though if it's, you know, imperfect, which is the internet, or overexposed, which is the internet, it's still great information. Then you need someone to say, okay, let's wipe all that noise in that information. Let's get right down what matters. But it's great to have that information. I mean, I use Google all the time. I want to see a recipe with something like I had made in a long time. I'll just Google people I know who make it. Or I'll look at someone else's blog or someone else's web, and I'll like see how they make a paella or something Cuban. I'll just see the touches of it. You know, go to Jose Andres, how to make a paella. And I'm like, oh, he does it. Okay, I got it. I get 5 points that I might not have gotten, or I haven't made it in such a long time, I forgot. So that's what's great.
It's
You
right
could
there.
really self-correct very quickly. But there's nothing that can replace a book. And it becomes, you know, it becomes art, it becomes furniture, and it's beautiful furniture that you always go back to. And the best books you go back to over and over and over and over and over again. Because they just like, and that's how you judge a great book.
You feel inspired when you pick it up and when you see it. To me, I can see covers. The second I see that cover, I want to get in the kitchen.
And the recipes work, and they're really, they strike something in you. You feel like, okay, I got this.
Do you have any in your head that you immediately think about? I've got two
God.
that I know off the top.
So many. Well, I use LaRousse all the time.
Oh,
Which is, you know, the Bible. I use anything. Alice Waters has great cookbooks. I don't think she's a particularly great chef, but she has great cookbooks. You know, really, really terrific recipes, really flavorful. Martha Stewart cookbooks, her cake books and her tart books are exquisite.
Really?
Recipes are great.
I think that after we leave this, I'm going to add that to
Yeah.
the question.
And there's somebody you would never think had a great cookbook we bought. It's like my daughters are gluten-free and dairy-free. Gwyneth Paltrow is a cookbook that's really good. Some really interesting recipes in it that really work for the gluten-free or dairy-free. So there's all kinds of ways to get to that moment of usage. Ina Gart,
Yeah, I like.
They're like-
Person I cookbook currently loves.
yeah, they're like if you want to know how to make anything, and you want to know how to make it, and you want a foolproof recipe, you just go and like copy that recipe, and you can add to it because it's very simple. But there's a lot of great prestigious chefs, and I'm not saying because those recipes are in a different genre, like Jonathan Waxman's cookbook that just came out. It's so great because it's real food of Barbuda. It's a simple book. But a Daniel Boulou recipe is a recipe you would look at to get the finesse equation on the foie gras terrine, or how he does the squab. You wouldn't necessarily cook that ever because it's just too complicated. So, there's intellectual, self-gratifying cookbooks, which are great. I have one too. But then this cookbook you want to cook with,
You want to
it's all it's all dog-eared and it's greasy because you've been using it a lot.
That the ones that they gave me when I was younger were those ones where it's like French Laundry, some of Sean Brock's books. I'm looking through them. I'm like,
Can't cook that shit.
I don't know any of this.
Even I can't cook
literally-
it. First of all, I can't. I have no desire to.
I was like, I
It
don't
takes
know
6 hours to make
half
like
of
a
this.
fillet of beef.
Right. And it's like a one piece of chicken. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, start
No.
a week and a half before.
Sorry.
I'm like, okay, I'm hungry
No,
tomorrow.
I just go. That's when you go to the restaurant.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah. I'll just head there.
Let's make reservations.
So my thing now is that cooking I've seen personally when I started to spend more time with my family. Okay, I see the joy it brings, but I know it's a hard job. I mean, chef is a hard, difficult job. Where for me, it's been very difficult to have that balance. And if I could have had someone, I don't think I've ever had anybody tell me a way to find that balance. You've nailed it, and
I have?
Okay, well, if you have it, it looks like you have. So my thing
Thank you.
is,
Looks are deceiving.
yeah, very well, just a little. So my thing is, what would you say to someone to help them figure out that balance? Because it's a hard field. I mean, you're on your feet.
I'm gonna like just shoot that word down. There's no such thing. Balance doesn't exist. Balance exists on a balance beam. Okay, it really does, in a scale. And when you're an athlete, in life, there's no balance. I'm out of balance all the time. I'm trying to get back into, trying to get some, trying to stay cohesive. So I'm going this way, I'm trying to get back that way. So I'm like always looking to find ways to make better choices so that my sway isn't 30 degrees, it's 10 degrees. Because in the beginning, it's 50 degrees.
Right.
You almost capsize. So I don't want to use the word balance. I want to use the word appropriate use of your time. And that's the hard thing. But you're going to be pulled in different directions because what we do is distinctly personal and we can't do it with a machine. So I can be here, but I can't be in my restaurant. I can be in my restaurant, but I can't be here. So you need to have an ability to maintain the correct staffing levels. You're going to have really good people who can keep you motivated and keep the people that they're actually teaching when you're not there motivated, so that when you come back, you don't have to re-motivate it and start from scratch, So that's the juggling act of using your time. But as far as balancing, like I have 2.4 hours here, 6.0 hours here, I can play golf 3 days a week. It's completely doesn't exist. If it looks like it exists for me, it's because I found a way to maintain the motivation in every one of the businesses I'm in. I'm like 6 businesses now, and we have a production company. But my production company is run by someone who started it and is doing most of the work, and I come in where I'm supposed to come in. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you need to understand that. Right? And I tell people to spend 80% of their time at stuff that makes 80% of your money. Right?
Right.
And that's a good way to think about balance in a way that's more about motivation and how you use your time, because time is the most valuable thing you have. You can go broke, you'll make money again. You can get sick, you can get better, right? You can lose a girlfriend or a wife, you can get another one, or you can have another relationship, or stuff happens in life. You can't get back time. There's no way. Once it's gone, it is gone. And you don't know what happened,
Mm-hmm.
right? Especially when you have kids, you'll learn that if you don't have children. So the balance aspect is really time functionality and how you use your time. And if it looks balanced, well, God bless it looks balanced. It isn't. I tell people all the time, there's no such thing, and people like love to hear that.
Right.
Because they're like, still, how do you do it? How do you do it? I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't do it. There's more things I want to do. I leave 10 things on the table. Now it sounds weird to think I'm doing so much, but in my category and what I'm doing with my great people who work with me, I should be able to do more.
Right.
But I'm frustrated. I can't.
Very motivated.
Yeah,
Very
you have to always do this. You're always teaching and teaming up with people and teaching, but you both can't go like this, because if you do that, you're gonna capsize.
Mhm. So I see that when you're chef, especially, like I see it a lot. Okay, you get very motivated. It's almost addicting. The success, like failing, almost is addicting in this industry, and like it almost spills over to everything else. At least that is my experience with it. Where I got in, I'm a Waffle House cook. I started a Waffle House, and the second I started realizing that I was slowing down the line, I wanted to get better. And that kind of worked into the other aspects. Now, do you feel like that's applicable in life? Like, you feel like this industry definitely motivates people way more?
This industry, particularly, the failure rate is 90%. So you're nuts to enter this industry unless you really love it. And I know so many people who've opened restaurants that have never been in the restaurant business. They're like, "What happened? Can you help me?" I'm like, "No, I told you not to."
I gave you the
You know,
advice.
so you really have to know. You really have to want to do it, and then you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail up though. You're gonna like learn. You know, I knew nothing when I came to this business, nothing, and I worked for free for a chef for a long time just to suck his brain to get all that creation out of his head, and then he started paying me because he realized I was valuable because I would work twice as hard as everyone else.
Right.
So I tell people, just I'll work everybody. Show up earlier, leave later. Don't matter what anybody thinks or pays. The money will come. Don't work for a paycheck. Don't work for a paycheck.
All right. Well, I think that's most of our time. So I want to say thank you first and foremost. I think this is a really incredible opportunity for me. I've got family that's like, oh my god.
Thank you.
So
Great meeting you.
very much
I wish we could do another hour.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
we're
Chef
just.
Liam will be here tonight.
We're just
Oh, good. Okay.
just getting the good of it. I'm sure you will see me all weekend. I mean, I'll
Great.
be at the. I have a cooking demo I'm doing Saturday.
Great.
I'll be here Friday for the event. So I mean,
Where are we doing the cooking demo?
cooking demo is going to be here in
Same place,
TZ.
okay.
I don't think it's going to be in this building, but it definitely will be in
Okay.
somewhere here.
Is this my mic for the next interview?